Welcome to the Fill Your Cups podcast. We're your hosts,
Morgan
and Bailey. Hey guys, so thanks for tuning in today with us. We want to remind you that we have put up a meal plan for this week, and I put that up yesterday on Instagram. So go check that out today. We are doing this bi-weekly, so we'd love to know if it helps you guys and take some of the strain off of making your own meal plan. So go look at ours, copy it, feed your family.
Absolutely. Today we are filling your cups by a one and only interview with Bailey here. So I had the opportunity to interview Bailey because we are doing a 2-part series. If you didn't listen to last week's episode, make sure you do. Bailey interviewed me on morning routines with a morning bird. And today we did an interview with her about her nighttime routine. So it's nighttime routines with a night owl.
Yes.
So it was super fun. I heard lots of things about your nighttime routine that I didn't know that you did. And I think it's really cool to hear about how you developed them and how they work for you and how they make your life better and how they're really just small, simple things that you've added into your evenings to make your days better. So
yeah.
Make sure you guys listen all the way to the end because Bailey gives some good tips about how to start your own nighttime routines. And I think we can just dive right in.
Let's get it.
Okay. Bailey, what's filling your cup right now?
I've got water in my cup or a Taco Bell Dr. Pepper.
We are both doubling up on drinks today because I've got my water and then I've also got an orange poppy.
Hell yeah.
So moving on to our shout out. I know you have a fun one.
Yes, we want to shout out my brother-in-law, Nicholas. So he has been listening to every single episode and including our book club episode. And he's been such a supporter and honestly a surprise supporter for me. And I have been loving it. I feel like he is someone that every time I see him, he's always like, oh, have you guys recorded? Or what's the intel? What are you guys recording about this week? And things like that.
Give me the scoop.
Yeah, he bought a pickleball set and had texted us and was like, hey, after your summer bucket list, I decided to add this into ours. You guys have to come over and play. And
I love
it was
that.
just really fun. And so shout out
fun.
to you, Nicholas. We love you.
Yeah, if nothing else, in the first 10 or 11 episodes that we've had, I've just found that our friends and family are really awesome. And it's so fun to have such good support. So
It is.
I will say, so Mason told me that. I was oddly hanging out with him alone. I was at his work for a blood drive, and we got to eat lunch at the same time or whatever. And he was telling me that Nicholas said that, which was so fun. He was also telling me, though, we were talking about podcast statistics because they're kind of confusing.
Oh, yeah.
And he was saying that listens does not equate to downloads, which I thought it did.
Me too.
I looked more into it, and if y'all don't know this, when you listen to an episode, it does not automatically download, but downloads is what a lot of places use to measure podcast success, I guess. So we don't have any sponsors or anything like that, but that is what sponsors or Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts, how they rank podcasts, things like that. Downloads is really what they use. But this week I looked more into it and saw that we have way more listens than we do downloads, way more plays, and that we even can see how many followers we have and whatnot, which was exciting.
Yeah.
But if you haven't already, make sure that when you are listening to these episodes that you also download them. I know I typically don't download them unless...
No, me either.
Yeah, unless I'm going to be traveling or something like that. I can't get it via Wi-Fi. And I think some people have a setting on their phone where any podcast that they're subscribed to, they automatically get downloaded new episodes. But I looked back, and I've listened to every one of our episodes, and only one of them was downloaded.
Yeah.
So I was like, wait, that's crazy. So anyway, so just a heads up that it does help us if you download the episodes. So just take that extra second to click the extra button and give us that extra download.
Yes, that would be very helpful to us. We didn't know that was a unit or a measurement that they were looking at that was more important almost.
Yeah.
But
it was the only one that we had before.
Yeah.
And so we just thought that every download was a listen or a play.
I know. I've been telling everyone, I'm like, yeah, we have over 500 downloads. That's basically listens. It's not.
And it's...
I swear I Googled that, though, when we first started.
thought
And
so,
I
too.
swear it said that.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
You know what? Everybody's got to start somewhere, and we're learning. So.
This is our first time doing this.
Yeah. Anyway, the reason I thought of that was because when Mason and I were talking about Nicholas, I'm so cynical sometimes, but he was telling me about, oh yeah, all of my family was saying like, we've listened to every episode, and every time someone tells me that, up until this point, in my head I'm like, yeah,
Liar.
bullshit. Because I'm like, we only had 12 downloads in the last 2 days, so there's no way that you listened to the episode.
Funny.
I don't know if you felt that way, but
Oh my gosh, I haven't, but it's probably because I just don't do quick math like that.
I'm
But,
just like, okay, if I've listened to the episode, Bailey's listened to the episode, I know Jared has, I know Mason, like, you know what, I'm like, yeah, there's not enough room for you here in the 12 downloads that have happened, so.
Oh my God, how amazing. But we did figure out how to get into the actual analytics and look up actual.
Oh yeah, it's like more,
plays
it's
and-
almost more than double.
No,
Like,
yeah, and it was so cool to see
Yeah.
that. I was so excited about 500. Like,
yeah, so
oh
crazy.
my gosh, and now we have, literally it was, I don't even know how many listens, but so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what
Yeah.
Morgan said, download the episode, helps out.
Definitely. Yeah, maybe we should actually get into this episode now.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So today I'm really excited because it's my turn to interview you. You interviewed me last week, and we talked all about morning routines with a morning bird, and today we're talking about nightly routines with a night owl.
Yes, I'm really excited.
And you're definitely a night owl.
For sure, night owl, born and raised.
Yeah, and you have a really good nightly routine. Like, I got to witness it, at least a portion of it, when we were traveling in Chicago, and I was super impressed, and I was like, man, no wonder her skin looks so good.
Thank you.
So I'm excited to share with people, and hopefully our listeners resonate with one or the other more and can benefit from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I wanted whenever I wanted to start talking about our routines was, like, as a night owl, it's really helpful for me to hear what other people do in the morning so I can, like, kind of start building that in. Or even as a night owl, when I was hearing what people were doing in the night times, I was like, oh, my God, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Like, I absolutely love that. So, yeah, I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, definitely. And I know we've had some feedback about, like, our habit episodes and.
Yeah, we've had a lot of feedback. So I feel like we've done, several habit episodes, and especially towards the beginning. And I had people tell me that they were actually, like, implementing these habits into their lives. Yeah. And so I thought that was so cool because when I started listening to, her name is Shelby Sacco, and her podcast is Sad to Savage.
Oh, yes.
Like, my favorite podcast, the first one that I could ever actually fully listen to and really get into. And she talks about routines and habits, like, exclusively. That's all of what her things are about.
Yeah.
And when I started listening to that, I feel like my whole life just completely flipped around once I actually learned what habits were, and I started to make myself a night routine. And now I cannot go without my night routine, or else it will mess up everything.
Yeah. So you said it flipped your life. So you feel like it was bad before and then now.
Yes. Yeah. So before, I would just come home after work, and I feel like this is what the majority of people do. I would just come home and completely, like, rot for the rest of the night. So I would just lay in bed, change my clothes immediately, snack until, I don't know, I went to bed at some point, and, like, not do anything constructive for my night. So then the next day, it was just a shit show again. And then I was coming home and doing the exact same, like, rotting again.
I've never heard this. You said something about rotting night earlier, and I was like, what is that?
Yeah, so a rotting night is, I think it's probably very mainstream right now, but, like, a rotting night is where you don't do anything. Like, your brain completely shuts off almost. So a rotting night
like
is
a
great to
vegetable.
have. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, your
Like you
pumpkin
veg out.
sits outside and it just completely rots.
Oh my
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, you just veg out. So, and that's what my nights looked like all the time, and there was no benefit at all.
So
to me.
at what point did you realize that you needed a nightly routine or needed to switch something up?
Yeah, I think the point for me was I was listening to the Sad to Savage podcast.
Okay.
And
that
huge
was
thing-
fairly recent.
Yeah, it was only really in December.
Okay.
Like, when I very first started listening to it, and it was, like, around Christmas time. So, not that long. It'll be August when this comes out, but we're in July right now. So, 7 months or so of it. But I think for me, what it was is I knew that I could do things in the nighttime that I could not do in the mornings. So, like, we've talked about this multiple times. It's something I would love to change. But, like, I know myself, and getting up at 6 a.m. is not going to be a thing for me. I can't do it. So if I can prep myself at the night and like set myself up, that's what my routines feel like for me. It's like setting myself up for the next day.
Yeah.
So that's where I made an entire nightly routine, was because I knew if I didn't do it during the night, then I was going to have a bad day tomorrow because nothing was set up for me.
Yeah.
If that kind of makes sense.
No, it does make sense. It's maybe just knowing yourself, that you're not a morning person. So, which is a limiting belief, but but me saying like, oh, it's too hard to form a nightly routine is also a limiting belief. But knowing yourself that like, okay, right now I'm not just going to be able to wind my clock 2 hours earlier to get up and do these things.
Yeah.
So instead, I'm going to streamline my morning at preventatively almost.
Yes,
or
yes.
proactively.
100%. That's exactly what I did. And then honestly, when I started doing that and I started like implementing these things into my night that I was doing every night, I felt better. Like I felt less unorganized. I have way less Sunday scaries now.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, because I'm like, okay, I'm prepared. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like, and we talk about Atomic Habits a lot, that book, but I remember in the book him saying people who don't have routines look at the people with routines and say like, yeah, but when can you ever have any fun? Or like if you're set to such a rigid schedule, like how can you ever do anything outside of the schedule? And he said, no, routines actually give me more time to do things I want to. Yeah, which I thought was awesome. And that's 100% true for
definitely
my life right now.
Yeah. So what was the hardest part of starting a nightly routine, or what was the biggest obstacle or struggle that you ran into when you decided like, okay, I'm drawing a line in the sand. It's time to get the shit under wraps. What was the hardest part?
I think the hardest part for me was maybe that I do have to start my nighttime routine earlier than I would if I had no routine. So before, when I had no routine, I could just go to the bedroom at like 11 and just lay in bed for the rest of the night if I was watching TV beforehand or something. So I think that the hardest part was like looking at the clock and being like, okay, it's 9:30. I know that I need to do X, Y, and Z before I go to bed. So then I did have to start my night routine a little bit earlier, which meant that I was cutting off like quote unquote free time. I would say that was my hardest part.
Like
was
the
just getting into
kind of the sacrifice of that time.
Yeah.
What was hardest? Like, what did you feel like you were giving up the most?
That's a really good question, actually, because now I love my night routine so much that I'm like,
I couldn't give that up.
Yeah, I'm like, I would give up anything to have this nighttime routine. I would say maybe on nights if Mason and I were hanging out and having a date night, maybe me being like, okay, I gotta go to bed now, like maybe, or like I gotta get started. Maybe that was a little bit harder.
I feel like that's kind of where I struggle with forming a nightly routine is I feel like I'm giving up this time that, because obviously you don't work with your significant other most of the time, but when you live with each other, that's the only amount of time that you get with each other. And I'm like, I don't want to give up like a whole hour or hour and a half or whatever. For me in the mornings, I'm not giving that up because he's still sleeping. So,
very true.
So that's what keeps me. But at the same time, you could probably incorporate each other in nightly routines or things like that. Do you and Mason share any things that you do like in your nightly routine?
I would say.
Sorry, I didn't tell you I was going to ask that.
No, I love these. These are like, I don't know any of the questions you're going to ask, so it really feels like a true celebrity interview. But I would say that I don't think that we share the same night routine. He has his own night routine, but they do start happening around the same time. And I think that they wouldn't have had I not kind of started my own night routine.
There you go.
Yeah, which has been really cool. And I don't even know if he knows that, so you're welcome, baby. But like, let's say it's 9:30 and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to the bedroom. I'm going to start like all my skincare stuff. I do notice that he'll say like, okay, I'm going to play like 1 or 2 more games. Or then he starts going into things that he needs to do for tomorrow. Or he's like, okay, I'm going to check in on this work thing I have to do to make sure I'm set up for tomorrow. Like, I do think that we end up going along the same path because we go to bed at the same time. And yeah, that's kind of our routine.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into the nitty gritty of your nightly routine in a minute, but I do want to go back to, because you were saying like, honestly, now it's something that you love so much.
Yeah.
But it probably wasn't always. So
no.
At what point do you feel like it became less of like a chore or something that you like begrudgingly, like, I feel like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when we were talking about the morning routine, I, like, sit there and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
And then I get up and I do it, you know? But,
Yeah.
But, like, at what point did it feel less like, oh, my gosh, it's 9 or it's 9:30?
Mhm.
Like, I need to get up. And then
Yeah.
now it's like, okay, time to start
Like,
my,
finally,
yeah.
it's 9:30. Like, that's actually how I feel sometimes. I would say, honestly, like, maybe a month or two, really. Because I feel like I do so much during my night routine that some nights at the beginning, I was like, oh my God, like, I really set myself up here. Like, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
Why do I have 8 things to do before bed now? Like, I think it took about that much time. And I really took those, like, 1 or 2 months to really fine-tune
I
the
was going to
routine.
say, it's probably changed.
Yeah, it's changed so much, like a bunch of trial and error. So I think that probably a month or two before it started feeling like it was fun.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and that
That's
I was
encouraging,
excited.
though,
I was like
because
looked forward to it.
Yeah, that's encouraging though, because just a month or two to form a habit and a whole routine that you could really
Yeah.
carry on forever.
Yeah.
I mean, it won't look probably the exact same for the rest of your life, but
Mhm.
at least starting the habit. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that long. And I will say that when I went into it, I was really looking forward to creating a routine for myself because I don't really feel like I had any just besides the wake up, go to work, come home, like do the things you already have scheduled for
Yeah.
yourself. So I was really looking forward to it and I was really excited to start doing something for myself. That's how it felt, like I was bettering myself.
Yeah.
So I was really excited for
Yeah.
that.
Okay, well, let's get into
Ah.
it. So tell me, just Bailey gets home,
Yeah.
and when you start your nightly routine, what does it look like?
Yeah, so honestly, my nightly routine starts literally when I get off of work, which is kind of crazy. But when I very first get home from work, I immediately unpack my lunchbox, and I'll do this like while me and Mason are talking in the kitchen or whatever. Unpack my lunchbox, put everything in the sink, and then I repack it immediately for the next day.
That's so smart.
If I don't do it, I'll forget. I always forget something, and then the next day I have to come back home, or Mason has to bring me something because I'm like, I forgot my breakfast or something like that. So I immediately repack it for the next day, and then just put it right back in the fridge. And I'm like, okay, check, that's done. So
That's so smart.
thank you. I am a huge fan of that one. So I think that's where it starts for me. 4:30 p.m. I'm like, let's get it. Pack your lunch.
Yeah.
And then honestly, at that point, after that, I have a long time of like I can just do whatever I need to. We can have whatever social plans we need. I can go. I still lay in bed 4 hours.
Sure.
Like I still do that. So then my next portion of my night routine is, like I said before, the laundry. So I always make sure to either put clothes in the washer, switch them over from the washer to the dryer, take them out of the dryer, or fold and put away. So I always make sure to do one of those a night because laundry was something for me that would pile up so much that I'd have 2 baskets plus clothes all over the floor, and I would break down because I was so overwhelmed and I was like, how does anyone do this? So that was a part for me that I had to start adding in. And
So do you do that closer to the time that you like pack and repack your lunch?
I probably do that maybe around like 7 or 7:30.
Okay, so this is like after dinner?
Yeah, this is
Okay.
like after sorry, I should have said that.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, so this is probably like an after dinner thing for me. I don't think I do it at the same time, but yeah, I'll usually do it after dinner is actually
Okay.
a really good way to put that, or like after whatever, if we have a social thing that we're doing right after work and we're going to see Mason's family or something like that. When we come home, even if it's between like 7 or 9, like I will be like, okay, I haven't done this today yet, so I need to go do this real quick. And then because I'm only doing one of the 4 things you can do with laundry,
Right.
it only takes me 10 to 15 minutes,
Yeah.
maybe. And if I'm loading the washer or moving the dryer, that's like 2 minutes.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so that's what that one looks like for me.
Is that the only time you do laundry? Or do you ever like during other times of the day do it? Or is it just
No.
like this is the designated time?
That's like my designated time.
Okay.
That it really is. I will say on like Saturdays or Sundays, I might do an extra load just because I have the time if I'm home. And then my next one after I do the laundry of some sort is so now we're saying that it's kind of more more like, let's say it's like 9:30 now or 9 o'clock now. So I'm like, okay, I'm getting ready for bed. I've hung out with Mason. I've done a podcast editing. I've been on TikTok for an hour, like whatever. I've watched Love Island, which I was watching every night, which was amazing. And it's over now, which I'm so sad. But let's say, like, you know, I've had my full night.
You've had your free time.
I've had my free time, and now I'm like, ooh, nighttime routine, here we come. So one of the first things I do is I will do my skincare and things like that first. So I always take off my makeup, which I never used to do, and that is a new thing for me, probably within like the last 2 years, maybe. And I'm 25 now, so
yeah.
I wasn't doing that ever. I would be like in college, mascara on, and I'd be like, I don't get why people wash off their makeup, because like having my mascara on already is so helpful.
Like you wake up in the morning, you're like, wow, I'm gorgeous.
Yeah, I'm like, it's done. I don't even need to do anything. But it's actually really gross and really horrible for your skin.
Yeah.
So I take off all my makeup, and then I'll wash my face.
Okay. Do you use like just like a makeup wipe or like?
I use micellar water.
Okay.
And like a cotton pad, just because the makeup wipes feel gross on my skin. They make my skin feel like really sticky, and I can't stand it. You know how I am. I have like weird texture issues.
Yeah.
So that's like a big thing for me. So I do it with the micellar water, and it is the waterproof one because my mascara is waterproof. So do that. And then I'll wash my face. I think I use like the Native face wash. And then I will then pat off my face, and I'll go in with a toner, which is supposed to be really good for your skin. I don't know. I do think it's helped my fine lines. And you know that. I have crazy wrinkles already. It's deep set. I don't know what it is.
I have never thought that about you.
Thank you. If you looked close enough, you'd see it. But the toner has helped a ton, and I only started doing that since December or so.
Okay.
And then
was that something that like you heard from Sad to Savage or something like that, or you just started looking into?
I think I just started looking into
skincare.
skincare things. Yeah, and I don't know if she specifically did toner, but I know she did like some kind of skincare thing. So
is that also one of the other brands like Native or something like that?
That is Ordinary.
Okay.
I love Ordinary skincare.
Okay.
Because it's really cheap. So, and I love cheap things, but it's good products.
Okay.
So that's why I really like it. So yeah,
quality but affordable.
Yes, which is my go-to all the time. So I do that, and then I used to do serums that were a like hyaluronic acid, I think, and I used to do that, but I recently ran out of that one, and I decided that when I ran out of that one, I wanted to try to do this thing I'd seen on TikTok, which was castor oil and Vanny cream.
Okay.
So castor oil is supposed to be like a hair growth.
Yeah, I've heard of
remedy.
castor oil, not Vanny cream.
Vanny cream, it's just a moisturizer, really. So it's like a Cetaphil or CeraVe or something like that. But it's Vanny cream, which I got off of Amazon. I had never heard of it either. But this girl on TikTok, it was a viral video, and she had sworn by it. So I was like, I'm going to give it a try. I've been going on with this hyaluronic for a really long time, and it was helpful, but I didn't feel like it changed what I was looking for it to change. Like I wanted to get rid of redness and things like that with my face, because I think my cheeks can get really red and things like that. So I wanted to get rid of that. Wasn't really noticing it, but it was helpful. So then whenever I saw a TikTok video, I was like, okay, I'm going to try that. And I got that, and I have been loving it.
Really?
Yes.
Is it two products or is it mixed in one?
It's two products.
Okay.
So I'll do like a tiny squirt of the Vanny cream on my fingers, and then just put a little bit of the castor oil. It comes in like a dropper.
Yeah.
So I'll just put a little bit of that on, rub it on my fingers, and then just kind of rub it all over my face.
Okay.
And at first when I did it, if you were not used to putting oil or a heavy moisturizer on your face, it was crazy feeling. I was like
it felt like you could
so
feel the
heavy.
layer of it.
So heavy, and I was like, I'm getting like dog hair stuck to my face. Like it was so much. But I kept going with it, and I was like, I'm just gonna keep trying it. She swears by it, so I want to do it. And I have been loving it. Now if I forget to do it, or like that's a part that I don't add into my routine for some reason, it's a part that the next day I'm like, what a regret. I absolutely should have done this.
Like you love the feel of it, or you feel like you wake up the next day with like less redness?
Both now.
Okay.
Both, which is crazy because I think, you have to fine tune everything. So I fine tuned the amount that I was using.
Yeah.
And the amount that like finally started to feel good on my face. I was like, okay, this is the perfect amount. So both for sure. And so I'll do that. And now, because I've been using castor oil.
Yeah.
Castor oil is supposed to like really help with hair growth and things like that. So I'll put it on my eyelashes.
Oh.
And which I think has been helping like crazy.
Yeah, your eyelashes look great.
Thank you. No, so I'll put it on my eyelashes, and then I've actually been going through and curling my eyelashes
in the evening?
Yeah, in the evening.
Okay.
And I think it legitimately helps with the curl the next day. I have very straight eyelashes. And that has always been something that...
You have always had kind of straight eyelashes.
Yeah, they just grow in straight. I don't know what it is about it, but I specifically started noticing that while using this castor oil, because it works, that the new ones that were coming in, they were coming in like crazy, but they were coming in straight. And I was like, oh, crap. Like, we don't want that. So I started curling them before bed.
Oh,
and it started helping so much. So I'll put
they definitely look curly right now.
Thank you. And by this time, they normally would have fallen straight, I think.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I think that's been really helpful for me.
I was just picturing you as like a little girl. I was like, actually, I do feel like I remembered that your eyelashes would like come out kind of straighter than like more up.
Yeah, just completely straight out. I don't really know why, but that's just what they do.
Awesome.
So I'll do that. And then right after I'm done with all my skincare stuff, I'll go through and I'll brush my teeth. And then I have been really trying to floss every night. That is something.
Good for you.
Thank you. It's something that is definitely not a non-negotiable for me. It should be, but sometimes I'll forget or I'll just be lazy. So whatever. But if I do floss, then at that point I'm like, okay, time to plug in my Apple Watch because I just charge that in the bathroom, and then I'll go to the bedroom portion of my bedroom. And the thing I do next is I clean up the bedroom.
Okay.
So whatever clothes I have on the floor, I clean that up. Whatever like scrunchies or water bottles that I have on my what do you call
Side
it?
table?
Yes, bedside table or a nightstand. Yes. I will clear that off. I will I don't know, if I had my purse hanging around in the bedroom, I'll go put that where it goes in the kitchen. So I'll do that. It makes me feel so much better. And I find that it's less overwhelming for me the next day.
Yeah.
So I do that for myself. And then the last thing I do before bed, as far as getting myself ready for the next day, is I pick out an outfit for the workday the next day.
Oh, okay.
I have to do that. Otherwise, I will run late no matter what. Because I am so bad at deciding outfits. And so
do you try it on and everything?
No, I don't try it on or anything like that. But I mean, I go through my clothes often enough that I know what I like, and I know what I'm gonna wear, what looks good on me.
Yeah.
So a lot of times if it's the nighttime and I am having brain fog, or I'm like, I just don't know what to wear, I'll scroll through Pinterest and just look at all the outfits I already have saved, and I'm like, okay, I can make something like this. So then I just get it from my closet, I set it out, and I have gotten to the point where I set up my bra, my socks, my shoes, my underwear, everything goes in a pile.
Jewelry?
Yeah, if I'm going to wear specific earrings the next day, I set those out right next to it.
Okay.
Completely. And then I did just forget about this because this has been a new thing that we've only started doing probably the last 2 months. I pack my gym bag.
Okay.
Because we've been going to the gym straight after work.
I was gonna ask about it at some point because, like you said, you get home and you unpack and pack your lunch.
Yes.
But I also know you've been pretty consistent with going to the gym after work.
Yes.
You're gym after work people. And
because we can't do it in the morning.
Yeah.
And we know.
So I was wondering if you consider that part of your nightly routine.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay. If I don't pack my gym bag the next day, it means we're not going to the gym because I don't have my things, so I can't go.
Do you go straight from work?
Yep, we go straight from work.
Okay, so you meet each other there, or okay?
Yep, we meet each other there because it's 3 minutes from both where I work and our house.
Okay,
so we just both go there. And that is so convenient for us. I really don't think it could have worked out better for us because it's hard to go to the gym. It really is. And so we were like, we have to go straight after work. And that was something that I had told him that we had to do because I was like, we won't go. If I come home first, I won't leave the house again. Yeah. I'm so bad about that.
Yeah.
So whenever I pick out an outfit for the next day, I go through and I pick out a gym outfit for the next day and get all that put in my gym bag, including shoes and, sports bra, socks. I'll put the book that I'm going to be reading the next day. If I know I'm going to walk a long time in the treadmill or time to read the next day, I'll put it in my gym bag because I take it to work with me. So after all of that is done and I'm like, okay, everything's set up, I'm ready to go. That's the point where I finally get in bed. And around that time, I would say Mason's usually coming into the bedroom now to start his brushing his teeth and showering or whatever he's going to do.
Yeah.
So during that time, I probably have about 30 minutes left before my bedtime wall hits.
Mm-hmm.
So all of that beforehand probably has taken me like 30 to 40 minutes, depending on how long it took me to find an outfit.
Yeah.
So now that I'm in bed, I will usually try to have my phone put away by this point. I try not to get on it again. And so I'll either try to read, or if there's a show I'm really loving, I will turn that on before bed, which is not good for me, but it's such a guilty pleasure. I have to do it.
So I know you've said before that you guys either do like what you're grateful for, or like the best 3 parts of your day or something.
Yeah.
So like, when do you do that?
Yes, so we'll usually do that right whenever we're going to bed. So he'll come in bed. We'll either like debrief on our night together. I'll tell him about Love Island, and he'll tell me about whatever sports things are happening. And then we'll usually literally right before bed do our best 3 parts or whatever we're grateful for or something like that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I love our nighttime routine.
That's awesome. So ever since you've like formed this nighttime routine, or now that you have it pretty solid,
Mm-hmm.
what do you feel like it changes for you? Like, do you feel like it improves your mood? Like, what does it do for you?
I think it just completely sets me up for the next day.
Okay.
And I think I like the feeling of feeling organized.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes me feel good, and that makes me feel less overwhelmed and less stressed out and less like overstimulated.
Yeah.
So I really love that aspect to it. And then, yeah, it just sets me up so much for the next morning, because if I don't do any of those things that I mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
I will then the next day just wake up already set off for the next day.
Yeah.
I'm already running late. I'm already upset because I stepped on a shoe because I didn't clean up the night before. Like, I'm like, oh my God, my teeth feel disgusting because I didn't brush my teeth the night before. Like,
yeah.
it's just all of these things that if I don't do them, I just can't.
It's not as good of a day.
No, it's not as good of a day. I don't set myself up enough in the mornings.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to set myself up enough in the nighttime.
Yeah. Does your nighttime routine change at all if you're like traveling, or like
Yeah.
Tuesday versus Saturday, or you know what I mean?
For sure. Yes, it definitely does. So if we're traveling, the things I still do in the nighttime routine, no matter what, is I will still always do my skincare things. And we'll always do our, best 2 parts
Yeah.
and things like that. We always do that. We usually try to tidy up like our suitcase area or the bathroom area or something. So maybe that's like the cleaning up aspect for me. Because I know if in the next morning, if I wake up and my suitcase is everywhere, how am I going to find what I'm going to wear? But like, I won't really like plan that much for vacation days.
Sure.
And then on like Saturdays, I don't need to think about what I'm wearing the next day unless I have an early breakfast, and then I might do that. But I don't need to like pack my gym bag, things like that. But I will still do laundry, and I will still clean up the bedroom and try to make sure that's good. So yeah.
So like,
that's how it
I
goes.
talked about like my non-negotiables, I guess, last week.
Yeah.
So it sounds like yours would be skincare, tidying up, and laundry, maybe?
Yeah. Probably. I would say the laundry can be a non-negotiable for me if I get home too late. I feel like that is something that I can put on the back burner because I'm like, okay, because I've set myself up well enough to where I'm doing it every night.
Yeah.
If I miss one night of it, it's okay. It's not going to completely back me up. So I do think that's something that can get taken out for me. But yeah, non-negotiable would be the skincare portion of it, and then brushing my teeth. Those are non-negotiables for me. And then, packing my lunchbox. No matter what, I have to pack my lunchbox because if I do forget, it's bad. And I have to leave work early because I have to go get a sauce I forgot. Or Mason has to bring me breakfast in the morning. And I end up spending more money that way because I'm like, I need to get breakfast or something like that. Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah, so I think those are my non-negotiables.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
It sounds like a great nighttime routine, and I can't believe that you said it only takes like 30 to 40 minutes, because in my head I'm
It
like,
sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
But everything's so quick.
yeah.
Yeah. All the tasks are quick tasks. The
Yeah.
longest one is my skincare, and we timed that, and it took 8 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. I love it because they're small but impactful ways
Yeah.
to improve your night and thus morning and day the next day.
Yeah.
So for someone who was like wanted to start a nighttime routine, like I came to you and I was like, I really want to start a nighttime routine. Like, what should I start with, or what's the best way to start? How did you start? Like, what would you tell them? Like, what's the best advice that you could give someone who wants to start a nighttime routine?
Yeah. So I think my first question to them would be why? Like, I think that would be the most important, because I think that if you can figure out why you want to start a nighttime routine, you can figure out what has to be the most important part of your night.
Okay,
So for me, doing a nighttime routine was so important because I needed to set myself up for the next day. So then I think that's like where I kind of centered all my things around. Figuring out the why behind wanting the nighttime routine. Because I think that's where you can tailor what's the most important to you.
Okay.
And figure out how to like put that in. And then I would say that if you don't have a bedtime, I would say try to set up a bedtime for yourself.
Okay.
Truly, because
How
I think that's where,
like, what you just like pick a time, or
I mean, that's kind of how I did it. So we would probably go to bed at like midnight before this. And again, I am not someone who like wakes up feeling fresh and ready for the day.
Sure.
I am very tired. So they say it's good for you to get like 8 hours of sleep typically. So I would try to get about 8 hours of sleep if you can. So if you know you have to wake up at 6, like let's go to bed 8 hours before that
10,
and try to make sure you're in bed. Like I don't want your nighttime routine to start at that point. I don't want your reading to start at that point. I want you to like in bed, you're
Head
like
to the
lights
pillow.
out. Yeah. So I would say that's kind of where I found mine. So I tried to be in bed 100% by 11 p.m. every night. Whereas before, I used to just lolly until midnight. And then we were like, oh, we should probably go to sleep. I'm getting kind of tired.
Yeah.
And that like was really terrible for all aspects of our like health and life and things like that.
Yeah. Do you feel like it helps you sleep better too? Having a
Oh
routine?
yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because without realizing it, I was creating cues and responses for myself. So
Like physically?
yeah, physical cues and responses for myself. So if I like am taking off my makeup, my body, I will like start yawning. I'm like, okay, yeah, I am really tired. And then by the time that I'm reading, my body, like my eyes are so droopy and I'm so ready for bed by that point because I've created these like natural body responses to be like, oh, we must be about to go to bed.
It
like,
reminds me of the like Pavlovian dogs or whatever. Do you know what I'm talking
yeah,
about?
like you
Pavlov
ring the
or
bell
something?
or whatever, and then they're right there.
And they start like
really what it
salivating
is.
because you used to give them treats. Or
That's
whatever.
really what it is. I mean, that's a cue and response. Yeah. So.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, the cue is the bell, and then the response is I'm starving or whatever.
Or
it is
the
for
cue
them.
is watching your face, and the response is yawning.
yeah, that's really what it is. I also go to sleep now with less thoughts going through my mind, I think, because I've gotten so much done. And honestly, by this point, I've kind of exhausted myself.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my God, thank God I'm in bed.
So before we finish up, I also want to ask, like, so obviously you've developed a really good nightly routine. Is there anything you're still working on, you're still trying to implement into your nightly routine? Do you feel like it's in a pretty, like, you're pretty happy with where it's at? Or do you feel like there's something that you'd be wanting to, like, change anytime soon?
I think that I am really happy with where it's at. I think that one thing I have been trying to add in, and it's been really hit or miss for me, has been, like, tracking my things throughout the day. So, you know, I've been like tracking my food because that's really been helpful for me. So if I've been trying to do it before bed because I've noticed I'm kind of bad at doing it throughout the day because I get too distracted. But I'm like, am struggling with the perfect time to do it because I don't want to have my phone. So where does it fit in perfectly for me? And like probably a good answer is right after dinner. But right after dinner, like I don't feel like I'm in the headspace to do that. So that would be a nice thing to get to add in at some point or start adding throughout my day. But I think that that's something I've been trying to do at night, which might not fit in for me.
Is this in an app? What do you use?
Yeah, I think I just use MyFitnessPal.
Okay.
Yeah. So I do that one and tracking where I'm at with my books on Goodread.
Oh, yeah.
Or Goodreads. So I've been trying to do that. And if I'm reading on my Kindle, it's so easy because you can just share directly to it. But if I'm reading like a paperback,
book,
physical book, then I love to be able to track it because it makes me feel really cool and accomplished. But
like the percentages and like what page
Yeah.
you're on. Oh, that's so funny.
I love to go to bed and be like, wow, I'm at 54%. Earlier I was at 49.
Are you open, even though this is your expertise episode, to some unsolicited advice?
Yes, always.
When I first started tracking my food, which I don't do like calorie tracking, you know that.
Yeah.
But when I started doing it, I was noticing the same thing. Like it seems really tedious, which it probably takes less than 5 minutes of your day total. But I started doing it. Julia might have given me this idea, or someone did. I can't remember. But I pretty much always happen to have my phone on me when I like go pee, which is so many times in a day, especially if you're drinking enough water. And if you like have your phone with you and you open the food app, honestly, it became a cue and response for me at some point. I would go to the bathroom, my phone would be out, and I would just automatically somehow go to the app. Like after enough times doing this. But usually, if you've gone to the bathroom somewhat after breakfast, lunch, and dinner, like it's an easy time to just be like, okay, let's just like log this.
That's a great idea because you have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, you have to go to the bathroom, and most people do happen to have their phone with them when they go to the bathroom.
Always.
So and obviously there's more than 3 opportunities in a day to go to the bathroom because you go to the bathroom more than 3 times a day. At least I do. Yeah. I feel like you like.
I really
sit down,
like
pee,
that.
And then you're like, okay, let me real quick write down what I had for breakfast.
Yeah, I really like that idea. I'll definitely start trying it out and
just a thought.
Yeah. It's one that I've not heard or tried.
I got consistent with it, I think. I can't remember if it was someone in our accountability, like our boot camp, or if it was Julia or even maybe my like coach. I can't remember, but anyway,
so fun.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
But that's awesome. It sounds like you have such a good nightly routine. I'm like totally inspired by it because I remember in Chicago when we were traveling together and we shared a hotel room. Yeah. And you were up and I was like just laying in bed looking at you like. I'm like it took everything for me just to like use a makeup wipe and take my mascara off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like you definitely gave some good tips and like pointers of where you can start and whatnot. And just like how it developed for you. It seemed like it was pretty organic. You were just like, okay, I need to make a change, and after a couple months it's become something you look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice. It's been so nice. And I think that the nightly routine was such a thing that I could really hone in on because I knew that I am such a night owl. I do get a lot of energy at the nighttime. And my tendency is to want to accomplish things in the nighttime. Yeah. So that was a great outlet for me to be able to do that, and a great place to start for me, which has really just blossomed.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks so much for giving us all the deets.
Thanks for asking.
Even like brands and whatnot. And if anybody has a question about those things, then they can definitely reach out.
I'll send you a link.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I feel like you need them to be like sponsors or something.
Oh my God.
Ordinary and Native and all these different things.
Freaking wish. My castor oil that I use, I'll put that up.
Yeah, and Vanny cream. That sounds made up to me, but
it does. I had never heard of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's good though.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, thanks for sharing it all. I think this is a great place for people to listen and maybe start thinking about what kinds of things they need to implement in their nightly routine and maybe move forward on that.
Yeah, definitely. I will say also that this was a part 2/continuation from the morning bird that we talked about earlier. So if you feel inspired by this one, or you're like, okay, I have a good nighttime one, let's get into the morning one, go back and listen to that one too.
Yeah, that was last week's episode.
That was last week's, yes. Awesome.